with you. Do you own land or property in Nairobi? Hurry and clear your outstanding land rates. We have extended the 100% waiver on land rates up to 15th November 2020. So, collect your invoice from our cash office at Times Tower Banking Hall or City Hall and Makadara offices and pay it today only through the Nairobi County Revenue Collection account at Cooperative Bank of Kenya. You stand to gain 100% from the 100% waiver extension. At the end of the waiver period, KRA will institute enforcement measures. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh my, oh my, oh my days. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Never understood. Never understood. Life can be this good.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
This is NTV.
Good afternoon and welcome to NTV At One. My name is Dann Mwangi and we begin in the county of Nakuru, where at Bahati Girls Secondary School, which had registered a number of cases of COVID-19 among the students, that's 68 of them, and we had another number of teachers and non-teaching staff having confirmed positive for COVID-19. It's still a case of concern across the country, even in the county, which has been one of those that has been flagged as a concern. And now we're joined by our reporter Ruth Sarmoy to give us an update of what's happening in the school. Ruth, what is the situation like there?
Yes, indeed, Dan. A day after 68 students were confirmed to have tested positive for COVID-19 here at Bahati Girls, also 5 teachers were confirmed to have tested positive, as well as 2 support staff. So today, what has been happening in this school is that the school has been fumigated starting from the gate, and also we were able to see fumigation happening in the area where the students were standing yesterday, the 68, where they had been standing. So remember, the school has a population of 183 students. So from this, 115 students have now been isolated. So that they cannot come into contact with the other 68 as they keep on checking on their progress. So yesterday, when we spoke to the Chief Officer of Health, Dr. Samuel Kingori in Nakuru, he told us that the health officials had been sent into the school to take charge of the situation. So they'll be monitoring the students. And today I'm also aware that some parents tried to come to school to come and pick their children, but they were not allowed. So yesterday the health officer said that they will not allow any student to go back home because there is a possibility that the students could transmit, could take the virus home. So it's better to have the students stay in school so that they can follow up on their progress. Also yesterday when we were speaking to the health officer in school, he said that the cold season might contribute to the rise in these infections, and the reason as to why he said so, when it rains, people try to come together and they come together, and during that process when they are not able to maintain social distance, and the virus can transmit from one person to another because people tend to be squeezed when they're shielding from the rain. So we're still following up on what is happening in Bahati School, Bahati Girls High School. We understand the teachers, besides the 5 teachers, the school has a population of 33 teachers, and from the 2 support staff, the 2 support staff who tested positive, there are 28. 2 out of the 28 tested positive. So we are following up on what will be happening in this institution, and we'll keep updating you in our subsequent bulletins. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Ruth Sarmoi. And like she said, the county government said that most of the students are asymptomatic, and however, they're going to be being turned into an isolation center, which is what is happening in different counties where there have been such cases of COVID-19 in schools. And the person who's in charge of that is Education CS, Professor George Magoha, has issued a stern warning to head teachers who are colluding with unscrupulous officials from the Ministry of Education to divert desks meant for public schools. Gabriel Kudaka now joins us from Eldoret Live. Gabriel, did the CS speak about the rising cases of COVID in schools, such as what we've seen in Nakuru?
Thank you so much, Dan. Indeed, we were with the CS in the morning and we spoke to him about that issue, but he told us he couldn't talk about that. He will address it later. So he went to, currently he is at Eldoret Polytechnic, where he's in a closed door session with the management here to discuss the issues of how safe the school is and stuff like that. Earlier on, he was at Langas Primary School in Eldoret, and he was so disappointed with how about the hygiene of the school. He was not impressed with the hygiene. He even had to force the teachers who are there to literally collect litter at the school there. He also issued a stern warning to the teachers who have been colluding with the Minister of Health officials to sell desks meant to go to private schools, rather to go to public schools. Kindly listen to the better that we spoke to him earlier in the day.
Colluding with a few teachers to split the deliveries and to take some of the deliveries elsewhere. Without being specific, I want to warn them in public during daylight that every desk made shall go to the child in the public school at the school that was anointed to receive the desks. Every desk must go to the school. We are not going to handle anybody with gloves. So for those teachers in Migori area who, together with some of my officers, think that they are smarter than the government, I want to give them 24 hours to reverse the processes that they are trying to do and to ensure that the desks go to the appropriate schools that they were assigned to.
The PS said he was impressed by the progress of distribution of desks in schools so far. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Gabriel Kudaka. And we could see there's something that's not smelling right in Migori. And now let's cross over to the county of Mombasa, where members of parliament are having a meeting in regards to the reopening of schools. And this is in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, considering that Mombasa is one of the first schools that registered pupils, or rather students, who had been infected with COVID-19 at Tononoka High School as well as Tower of the Sea School. And now we are joined by Kevin Mutai to give us an update of what the MPs are deliberating upon. Kevin, do you have any brief on what they are speaking about specifically? Because, broadly it's about the issue of reopening schools. Do you have any update on what's happening?
Good afternoon, Dan. Indeed, they spoke, they've been having deliberations since morning, and I understand these are young parliamentarians who are currently sitting in the current parliament, and of course also engaging other stakeholders who are in charge of youth groups in the country. Besides the situation of COVID-19 in the country, they're also, engaging in the situation of unemployment in the country, and of course also particularly focusing on the government's appointments in various key institutions in government, but of course also there's the issue of the Building Bridges initiative. But the key concern here, what I understand was top on the menu, Dan, is the issue of reopening of schools. We've seen several schools reporting cases of COVID-19 in learning institutions. But let me just quickly bring in one of the parliamentarians to just take us through the deliberations and just maybe inform us deeper about their concerns. Thank you so much. You're live on NTV. What are some of the key areas that you touched on with regards to COVID-19 situation in schools?
Thank you very much. And as you have aptly put it, we have been having discussions from morning. Basically, we never came here because of BBI or any of those topics. But being national topics currently, of course, we had to touch on them. But we've been here to talk on leadership and youth issues. And to go directly to what you've asked, our own analysis in terms of the COVID, as you saw, even us as a political class, we decided to scale down our engagements with the raia, especially avoiding big crowds. Na pia tunauliza ya kwamba pia kwa saidi ya masomo kwa unyenyekevu sana. Ukiangalia maisha ya binadamu ni muhimu kuliko elimu yake. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri sana that even our leaders in the education ministry, they should not close their ears and eyes on the facts and issues that are going on. Wakiona ya kwamba numbers zinaendelea kuenda juu kwa sababu wako pahali pamoja kwa mashule, they need to take appropriate decisions in regards to schools opening or closure.
But have you raised these concerns with relevant authorities, especially the Ministry of Education?
You know, how Parliament works is that we have different committees. We have a committee on education. Here, as I said before, we actually purposely came because of our own issues as youth. And therefore, I am sure the education committee is also watching, and I'm sure they have able leadership to be able to guide the ministry. But if you allow me, I'll touch on the other issues that we've been discussing in regards to BBI.
Maybe because of the interest of time, let me also just try and understand, where do you think exactly the country is headed? Because we understand, even from the ministry, they're saying that this could possibly be a second wave of the virus, and the schools are, they're open, the children are there, the parents are scared. Where do you think we are headed to, probably in the next couple of months?
Well, it's quite challenging so far. I mean, we've seen kind of like it's a new surge of this COVID-19 that is spreading like bushfire again. It's very important for us to be very cautious, extra cautious than we were. Across the board, I mean, it's upon us now to like take personal care of ourselves, follow the government regulations and directives in regard to the COVID-19 and everything. But even as we do that, we also need to realize that the whole thing, can only be placed down by the Almighty. So it's upon the leadership of this country to also again call upon God and ignore this political bickering and different things that we are discussing about, even the BBI, in my opinion, and fight the elephant in the room, which is COVID-19. BBI is there, it's very important, but it's not as important as the health of this country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kevin Mutai from the county of Mombasa, where he's been speaking to some of the members of parliament in regards to the COVID-19 situation, especially in schools, but they also seem keen to want to talk about BBI, but that was not the platform. Now, the Court of Appeal has upheld, before we get to the Court of Appeal, I beg your pardon, in order to still stay on the COVID-19 situation, and the Moi County Referral Hospital in Voi, which is in the county of Taita Taveta, had its operations scaled down because some of the staff contracted COVID-19. And Bill Otieno is there for us just to give us an update of how things are going, because Bill, we know some of the operations are not some of the services may not be offered and some are at a very low level. What exactly is the situation at the hospital?
Well, thank you very much, Dan. And indeed, I am at one of the corridors along in Moi County Referral Hospital here in Voi. And indeed, there are some services that had stalled. And yesterday, when those that announcement that 8 staffs or 8 medics were infected with COVID-19 virus, there was some services that were given a hold. And some of these areas affected were radiology and even facilities that are there to receive people who come in terms of emergencies. And now I am with a group of medics here, and this is the medical superintendent here in Moi County Referral Hospital, right? If you can tell us in brief what is going on. We were told yesterday that the hospital was closed. Is this true or not? Then can you just tell us confirm the number of people who are in home isolation and probably those who are in quarantine?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Felix Kimodo, medical superintendent. I would wish to clarify that we did not close down the hospital. What happened is that after the results came in, that 8 of our colleagues or 8 of our medical staff were affected or were COVID positive, and about 26 others were close contacts of those 8. Then we had to take some drastic actions to make sure, number one, we safely get them home for home isolations. We release them. And as well, we had to fumigate the work areas. Especially the fumigation exercise took some time. So for hours yesterday morning, we were not able, we interrupted the services for about 4 hours. And I think that is why it was taken, maybe we are closing down. But after fumigations, then we were able to resume some services. However, because of the impact, the numbers of staff that went, for example, in theater, we were not able to fully open. We are running on 2 operational theaters for surgeries, but right now we are only able to work with 1 theater. So the services are right at the moment, and so is another department.
I am sorry that time is out of, we are out of time as my director is directing here. Thank you very much, Dr. Kimodo. That's what we have for now. We'll be giving you detailed stories in our subsequent bulletin later in NTV Jioni and NTV at 9. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Bill, and for the clarification on the same. No, it's a better understood matter. And now let's go to the court. And the Court of Appeal has upheld the death sentence of Ruth Kamande, who was found guilty of stabbing her boyfriend 22 times in September 2015 at Buruburu Estate in Nairobi County. High Court Judge Jesse Lesit sentenced Kamande to death in 2017, saying the court had proven beyond reasonable doubt that the accused committed the offense. Kamande, who became the 2016 Miss Langata Women Prison Beauty Queen, appealed the sentence, which has been overruled by the Court of Appeal. In 2016, President Uhuru Kenyatta turned all death sentences into life jail terms. We'll take a short break on NTV at 1. We'll be back after this.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Wataipenda, ataipenda, and them. Pia yeye na hao pia, kila mtu ataipenda. Pata kila kitu upendacho kwa M-Pesa kupitia star 334 hash. Kwa kuweka kila kitu kwa namba moja, tumerahisisha mambo ili uweze kuendelea kufanya vitu unavyopenda ukitumia M-Pesa.
Jumia Black Fridays, 15th November at 11:59 p.m. Amazing deals, unbeatable flash sales, and discounts every single day. Jumia Black Fridays, even crazier with DTB, 5th November at 11:59 p.m.
Kenya Medical Training College will hold its 88th graduation ceremony on December 3rd, 2020, virtually at KMTC Graduation Square, Nairobi from 10 a.m. Graduates must pay a graduation fee of 2,500 to National Bank. A donning graduation gown will be optional, and graduates wishing to get one can visit KMTC headquarters in Nairobi from November 4, 2020 to November 20th, 2020. We invite you to join the live event on Facebook at KMTC Official and YouTube at KMTC Official. KMTC, training for better health.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Welcome back to NTV at One. Now, 10 people in Murang'a County have been arrested for flouting COVID-19 containment regulations after police found them locked inside a bar and drinking way past the acceptable hours. In an operation led by Murang'a East DCC, the 10 revelers were arrested at a Makuyu bar at around 9:20 p.m. President Uhuru Kenyatta on Wednesday announced a raft of new measures aimed at combating the impending second wave of COVID-19 after chairing the 6th extraordinary session at State House, Nairobi.
The suspects were found drinking by undercover plainclothes squad that was formed to crack down on bars operating past the stipulated time.
Na tumetoa tu kwa baa moja juu wale wengi wanajifungia. Kwa hivyo lazima tutafute mbinu za kuwatoa huko ndani. Tumetoa 10 na tunaendelea kutoa. Saa hizi tukitoka hapa tutazidi kutafuta wale wamejifungia ndani.
The multi-agency team patrolled Murang'a town and its environs, ensuring no bar was operating and everybody had gone home by 10 p.m. in line with the new curfew. She termed those flouting the regulations as a danger to the society.
Ni vizuri kila mtu ajilinde asisukumwe na serikali. Kazi yetu sio ya kusukuma watu. Kazi yetu ni ya kuhakikisha sheria imefuatiliwa. Kwa hivyo nawaomba watu wa Murang'a town na Murang'a East na Kiharo wahakikishe kabisa wamefuata hizi sheria ili ugonjwa ipungue na kila mtu akuwe na amani.
Some of those arrested claimed innocence.
Ndipo nimekuja kitu hapa. Hata sinunuagi hapa mimi. Ndipo nimekuja kununua chipo hapa neighbor. Na wamenishika. Hata hizi sijoi 15 nilikuwa nimeshika chipo za 50. Sasa wamenishikia bure.
The police have renewed operations to enforce COVID-19 protocols following the directive by the President Uhuru Kenyatta. Among the new changes by the President include the adjustment of the nationwide curfew from 11 p.m. down to 1 hour to 10 p.m.
Tunaweza kuwa hatutaweza kuwashika wote. Kile tutafanya cha maana ni kuwaelimisha na za zote kukaa tukiwakumbusha kuvaa mask si kwa manufaa ya mtu yoyote, ni kwa manufaa yako yenyewe.
They were taken to Murang'a police station and are ready to be arraigned. The government announced that from November 4th, bars will close at 9 p.m. instead of 10 p.m. as part of measures announced to try and curb the rising COVID-19 cases in the country. The disease has so far affected over 50,000 people, killing over 1,000. Martin Mora, NTV, Murang'a County.
These measures, like has been said, are not for the police but for yourselves and for ourselves at large. Traders and residents in Kakamega town have raised alarm over poor disposal of masks in the town, saying it is exposing them to health risks. Rosterman Waste Disposal site has become a dumping site for masks and personal protective equipment, which might cause an environmental crisis.
Rosterman Waste Disposal site is situated about 8 kilometers outside Kakamega town. The dump site is sending jitters to area residents and institutions around here. Since COVID-19 was first reported in the country, several tons of face masks and other forms of PPEs have been dumped into the environment after use. At the dump site, you spot a face mask, a hand sanitizer bottle or gloves carelessly disposed of. This masks are the most commonly dumped in open areas and have drawn the attention of conservationists.
Barakoa zote ambao zinaokotwa town zinakuja kutupwa hapa chini. Wanawakisha hiyo takataka moto. Hiyo moshi yote ina affect even the community na sisi ambao tunaishi hapa.
Kwa sababu kuna takataka kama medical waste, pia kuna takataka kama asbestos material yenye haifai kwenda kwa hiyo dump site.
Not only are the dumped masks an eyesore, they may spread COVID-19.
Enyewe kama ingewekwa ukuta ingesaidia kiasi kikubwa. Sababu ukuta number 1 itapunguza hiyo shida ya eyesore. Tungependelea sana kwamba municipality ifanye jambo kwa sababu wako na nyumba, wako na ofisi kando yake.
These masks are non-biodegradable and will remain in the environment for a very long time to come, considering their production includes the use of plastics. This will deal a blow to the government's step in banning single-use plastic bags as well as single-use plastic bottles.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has recovered 2 parcels of public land in Kitale belonging to the Kenyan National Library Services and 4 government houses worth 18 million Kenya shillings. Justice Mwangi of the Environmental and Lands Court in Kitale delivered the judgment in favor of the EACC against 2 private developers, namely Kapsoen Estates Limited alongside Wilson Gashanja, who is a former commissioner of lands. The anti-corruption watchdog, through its North Rift regional offices in Eldoret, filed the respective cases in May and December 2015, seeking to recover the government land which had been reserved for public use but had been illegally allocated, and title deeds issued to private entities which have since been cancelled by the Lands Court. Let's cross over to America, and President Donald Trump erupted into a tirade of unsubstantiated claims that he has been cheated out of winning the U.S. election, as vote counting across battleground states early Friday showed Democrat Joe Biden steadily closing in on victory. Trump spent nearly 17 minutes making the kind of incendiary statements about the country's democratic process that has never been heard before from a U.S. president.
A few hundreds people, some with weapons, gathered in front of the Las Vegas vote counting facility where U.S. election ballots are still being processed.
Stop the cheating! Stop the cheating!
Among protesters, a far-right group of Proud Boys members.
We also just can't have corrupt elections left and right. The 11th hour change done by the Democratic Party and the mainstream media, that is basically just a wing of the Democratic Party, has got to stop.
And we're here just to also proclaim victory in the name of Jesus. And we just declare that he's going to win.
Because in a lot of the rallies, there have been attacks from the left, so I'm just here to protect people if they have to.
Trump backers wearing red Make America Great Again hats demanded to see ballots being processed. Addressing the media in an extraordinary appearance at the White House on Thursday, 2 days after polls closed, President Donald Trump said Democrats were using illegal votes to steal the election.
We think we will win the election very easily. We think there's going to be a lot of litigation because we have so much evidence, so much proof, and it's going to end up perhaps at the highest court in the land. We can't be disgraced by having something like this happen. So it will be hopefully cleared up, maybe soon, I hope soon.
Several major U.S. television networks cut away from live coverage of Trump's event over concerns of disinformation, and there were signs of cracks in support within his Republican Party. Trump's rhetoric came as his campaign aggressively challenged the integrity of the huge number of ballots mailed in rather than cast in person on Election Day. The big shift to postal ballots this year reflected the desire of voters to avoid risking exposure to COVID-19 in crowded polling stations during a pandemic that has already killed some 235,000 Americans. With Trump charging fraud, mail-in ballots have tilted heavily to Democrats. In the crucial state of Pennsylvania, the Trump campaign moved to stop the counting of ballots, which authorities were forbidden from processing before Election Day.
They're like 45 seconds to a minute, just talk.
A keen battle to watch, and it's been reported that, Joe Biden is inching